Okay, good morning, Power 7 graduates. Okay, so what I'm going to share with you today is that being able to start with the first module, we're going to go backwards a little bit as far as creating your Power 7. But what I find is that still, because some of you are multi-talented, that you have so many different projects going. And so what I want you to do is pick a project now that you think that in the light of the pandemic and the things that are going to be happening after the pandemic, that you can actually be able to implement. And realistically, when would you be able to do that? A month, 2 months, 3 months, and so forth. Then take that project. What I do with all projects that I embark is that think of a dollar amount. If you want to make $100,000 from it, if you want to make $1 million from it, and then take the price of that program. Say, I can make, I can charge $5,000 for this program. Then on my calculator, and I do this all the time, every time I have these bright ideas to kind of either diffuse them or decide whether there's something I should do now or do later or just put on the back burner. I say for $1 million, I'm charging 5,000, then I divide $1 million by 5,000. And that will tell me how many packages or programs I would need to sell. And then that says, okay, if I take the $1 million by 10,000, that tells me how many I would need to sell, and then so forth. If I want to make $100,000, I can take 100,000 and say, I want to sell this package for $500. Then it tells you how much. So it really kind of gives you an idea of if I take $100,000 and just do a quick example now, if it's $100,000 divided by, I wind up putting $1 million in there. So 105,000, that's even divided by $1,000 for easy numbers. Then you need 100 of them. So I need 100 people to buy $1,000 program or project to make $100,000. So 100 be divided over a year. That's maybe 8 people, approximately a month. Divide that by a month, that's 2 people a week. And then if it's less than that, so you can break it down. So think about that. So now I know when you're selling different products like travel and so forth, your commission, I don't know if it's commission based or whether you're able to calculate how much you can make. So if you have this $1,000 trip that you're planning or a $5,000 trip you're planning, how much is in your pocket? Because many times we'll do these projects and when everything is said and done between the marketing and the assistance and the fees and so forth, we're only netting, $1,000, maybe we're only netting $200 or $300. So then I look at the same thing, take the numbers again. So if I get 100 people and I'm going to profit or net $300, then that's $3,000. So is that project worth pursuing or not? So just kind of think of the different things that you're doing, and really kind of look at the numbers because again, there's so many opportunities out there. Now there's things that you actually do to make the money. And there's also things that you do to create the people that will generate the revenue for you. And what we're going to go through today is first thing that we did in the Power 7 was our the written word, being able to write your articles, being able to do that. So I'm going to go through some notes with that, because there's a couple of days we can utilize that. It can be used in a lot of different ways. So writing your articles. So the first thing to think about is who are you writing it for? Who's your avatar? Who is your perfect client? Who do you want more of? So if I'm doing the Let's Talk Success program, and my Let's Talk Success, I have a subscription. I want, women that are millionaires and they share their stories, challenges, victories, and secrets to success. In that program, who that's going to attract is other millionaires, and it's going to attract 6-figure women that are trying to acquire or to obtain $1 million or build $1 million business. So I can speak to those people, I can define that. So you have to first find out who do you want more of. So if that's for that project, that's what I want more of. If you're going to do wine and dine, through the Bible land, then who would be appropriate for that? Who would, whatever your price point is, who are the perfect clients for that? And then if you're going to do travel, being able to travel affordably and by certain ways. So if you're doing real estate, whatever it is, find out what your avatar is. That's the first thing. So you can target them. And then what you want to do is find out where do they hang out? Okay, where are they? Are they in what the blogs? Are they in the communities? Are they in different social media sites? Everyone likes to say, oh, I'm in Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and all this good stuff. But are your clients there? Are your tribe there? Are you just there to be there? Or do you really have clients there? Like for me, my first choice is LinkedIn, because that's where I feel that most of my clients are. Those are people that are gainfully employed. They usually are looking for different opportunities and things of that type. So that's where my pilot would be. Also, let's say, for example, if you're in real estate, then would your clients be like on Bigger Pockets? If you're in travel, what's the travel blog? What's the travel shows? What's the travel newsletter? So you want to Google, you want to Google newsletters on travel, online publications on travel, online, just being able to, find out where they are. So that way, what avenues and what platforms are available for you to be able to share your information. So that's like one of the first things to do. If you're tourists, if you can Google anything, tourists that travel, how many tourists that travel to Israel, tourists that looking for affordable travel, people that are looking for real estate in San Diego. I mean, it's really narrow it down. When you Google that, what's going to come up? It's going to come up all the different publications that are available, all the different platforms that are available, all the different blogs, all the different podcasts that are available. So what that does is it tells you where people are and where the platforms that you want to be. So if there's a travel newspaper, or again, online, it could be online or offline, but most of them are online now. They have online presence. So then that's where you want to be. You're going to go there and find out, okay, this is my people, this is my tribe. And then those are places that you want to make sure that you're distributing your articles to them. And most of the places are always, especially the online content, like the blogs and podcasts and things like that, they're always looking for content, including even the meetups. Meetups. I mean, they're always looking for content. They're always looking for speakers. They're always looking for people. So, I mean, that's part of our biggest thing. Like, I'm looking for women for the Let's Talk Success. I'm looking for women that do webinars. I'm looking for, always looking for people for my content. So remember, it's not always about us. It's about the people that we bring into our space, or spaces that we go into. Because these are people, understandably, that may have an audience already there that they can expose you to. And these are people that you can bring into your audience, that their tribe, their people, their followers will follow and give you more credibility, visibility, and revenue streams. So really, again, search and search and search. And I could search, or you search for all different mediums. It could be small or large. Yeah, and I would not hesitate to reach out to the large ones, because people think, oh, Entrepreneur Magazine, or oh, this magazine, they've got so much. You never know. A lot of them have different sections. They're still always looking for content. They have different specials. They have certain months where they're specializing in women in travel or women in real estate. They have certain, articles. They have certain things going on. So I would reach out to all of them, simply stating, this is what you specialize in. That's why I say it's so important to be distinct. Pick one project. You can't go there, I do this, and this. They don't want to hear that. But if you say, I'm doing a special on wine and dine through the Bible land, then that's specific, and then they can either yay or nay that, and that can work out. If you're doing affordable travel, for the seniors, or for retired, or for families, again, get something specific. They don't want to see you all over the place. Again, Let's Talk Success is simply one thing. We interview women who have built million-dollar businesses that share their stories, challenges, victories, and secrets to success. That's it. If it's in Power 7, we do content marketing. We share women how to monetize their expertise, to get more credibility, visibility, and revenue streams through different media marketing. So just really narrow it down and think of something that you'd find interesting, and then they'll find interesting. Maybe you can give them 2 topics, maybe one general and one specific, but no more than 2. 3 is going to be overload already, because they don't know which one to go, and you start complicating. Also, read and see what they have in the past. You don't want to duplicate what they've already had. If they've been speaking on, again, certain things over and over again, then take a twist to that, and many times it's like working backwards. Sometimes, say, for example, one young lady, I constantly refer to her, Laura Neubauer. She was saying that when you find out different businesses, it's not necessarily to see competition with what they are doing, but see what they're not doing. So maybe there's people that are doing something, you'll see all these other programs that may be like yours, or maybe you may think of as a competitor, but what are they not doing? What are they not adding? And that could be something really unique that you add, or you do, or you don't do, that may make a difference in their interest in you. So once you get that information, then you go to the commonly asked questions. And you can see that right on Google as well. When you're Googling this information, what is that people are asking you? There was a person I was listening to today that said that she had a book. I wish I could remember her name. She sold like 4 million copies of her book in a period of time. Amy something. And anyway, and that was up there with Michelle Obama's book, as far as millions of copies that were sold. And we asked, like, what was the question was like, how did she become so successful? And so she said she took a combination of questions that people were asking her, and she created a book behind it. And now Russell Brunson is doing the same thing with questions that people are asking him about marketing and ClickFunnels. He's going to create a book about all the questions that people are asking. So that way, if you have a book with people asking, then people are going to buy the book because they want the answer to that question that they've been asking. So really think, if you think that you can't think of it, think about what people are asking. When they come to your service, what's the first thing they ask you? You know, what's the second thing they ask you? Those commonly asked questions. And then go on to Google and then play with them again. Write the question, then Google. And you can write it different ways, singular, plural, what if, how does. I mean, so always the who, what, when, where, and why, usually are your leaders. So lead with those different questions and see what the response is, and see what it'll show you exactly, what people are, how many people are answering, how many responses it is to that. That way you can know how popular that question is. Now, some people say, well, gosh, it's got, so many millions of people answering that question. Again, how are they answering it? Are they answering it in just the written word, or are they answering it in the audio, the video, the written, or a live event? And today, when I refer to live events are Zoom events, basically, or webinars, because people are there live. So, going forward, hopefully it'll be an actual live event where we can, and touch each other. But right now, it's considered a live event. So find out. And then when you Google it, they also have a portion on it where other questions that people are asking, they'll say people are also asking. So that is like the perfect information. What other source would be better than Google to tell you what people are asking? So write those questions down. That's what your content should have. That's what people are asking. That's what people want. So it's not that, it's right there. I mean, it's Google, play around with it, change the question a couple of different ways. You can narrow down for women, for families. You can do for certain demographic area. Certain demographic or a certain location in California, in New York, whatever it is at that point on. Being able to really play with it and get the other questions. Now that there will give you the information about your articles. Your articles should lead with one of those questions. Now you can incorporate your own copy into it. So if I see a question like, how do I get started in business? I can say how women transitioning from corporate jobs can get started in business. It still has those same keywords in it. But just being able to make sure that you are not coming out of your own head, but coming out of what's really needed, wanted, and people are asking for. That makes it much more powerful, and it's not that difficult. So then after that, it's like what to publish. Okay, so now you got the information, you got the questions. Not everybody is a writer. I'm not a writer necessarily. For me, it just slows me down, and I'm better at other things besides writing. So it doesn't have to be. It can be also in that information, you can see the content. It could be interviews. So say, for example, it doesn't have to be your interview. You can interview someone. You can say, hey, Desiree, I want to talk to you about this, this, and this, and this. And it can be a 5-minute interview, and you can capture that interview, and you should be able to take that information and you write something about it. You can write an article about it, or you can write something about it. I mean, if they make it to your potential market. So say, for example, you're traveling through the Bible land, call somebody and talk to them. It doesn't have to be a formal person. It could be a person that is a potential client, and it's a very good way of being able to get them involved in the process and say, I'd like to be able to find out what you're looking for, or the advantages, or something tell them about your program. Then you can simply have that to transcribed. You can talk to a travel professional, like the airlines that you may be using. You can travel to one of the accommodations that you may use. You can travel to one of the wineries. You can talk to whoever may be related to that, and that's that. Or when you go online for Google, you'll see other people talking about it. Well, then either play their blog, play their podcast and say, okay, I listened to this podcast this morning and they were talking about, this kind of travel. And this is my experience. Remember, we said it doesn't have to be your content. You can take someone else's content, but they don't mind you promoting it because it's more, creds for them. But you can also do your personal experience. My experience has been, or I find this to be true because this is what my clients have been asked for. So you don't have to start from scratch. Take something that's already there. Either take someone else's podcast and write their summary on that. That way you're name dropping. Remember we talked about name dropping, how important that is. So you're writing an article that somebody else either said in their podcast or their interviews, there's YouTube videos, there's things all over the place that you don't have to personally even talk to this person. They don't have to even make contact with them. That you can utilize their information and do your, and have it transcribed and do your opening or the beginning or the end, or do your experience or do your statistics. My statistics state that, 20% of women want to travel alone, or 20% of families want to do this. I mean, so you can take something that's already existing and be able to utilize that as your article. You can also take things that you've done in the past. You may have done interviews with somebody in the past, or done podcasts, or even a class that you may have taken, or a program you've taken. So you're taking part of Power 7. You could say, hey, I took this program, Power 7, it's teaching me this, this, and this, and this person, and this person, this person was a part of it. And this is how I'm going to be able to use it going forward in my business. That's very, very interesting. That's you're sharing our name, which will get tracked. Anyone that's Googling Desiree or an empowered woman or homework. You'll also be able to use things like affiliates, writing articles. Those are big keywords, but you're relating it to you and your business. So it can be creative, whatever works easy for you, whatever's easy for you. If it's easier for you to listen to somebody or read something and add your take on it. I used to think I mentioned I used to get Entrepreneur Magazine, and the Women in Business, they had a section, and every Friday they would send something. Or American Express does the same thing. They send marketing things every Friday to update a week review or something like that. And I would take those articles and I would read them, and I would say, just copy and paste them and say, my experience is or has been that this is really, appropriate for women in business, or this is where they struggle with, or whatever the case may be. So now I have the creds of that person who wrote the article originally, as well as I have my information in there. So there's traffic. They've already optimized it. So I'm automatically going to get that traffic. So again, it doesn't have to be original. It could be from audio, it could be from video, it could be questions that are asked. It can be, just anyone that's experienced experience. And look at I know. So it could be interviews and repurposed social media classes and things that you've taken. So even on social media, again, there's different topics that people, especially on LinkedIn, that you can fit the topic and people will give you information like a survey. You can do polls, you can do surveys. So say, for example, you're on Facebook. Facebook has a poll. And you can say, hey, how many people, how soon will you be willing to go on a cruise after the pandemic? How many of you, or how soon you will be willing to travel to Israel after this pandemic? And then that's an article right there. All you gotta do is say, hey, I did a poll on this, asking this question, 20 people said this, 30 people said that, blah, blah, blah. That's valuable information. That's information that people would wanna know. And that's as simple as it possibly can be. You just copy and paste it and put it into one of your LinkedIn articles and something like that type. You don't have to do anything more than that. So polls are really good, especially, in certain times like that, like this, whether it's a holiday. Some people will be ready to travel for Christmas, things of that type. So that would be perfect opportunities to be able to use that. So now the thing is that I always say that you should pick a medium that works well for you. So articles are not my number one, but more audio and more video is. So find out what your number one medium is. If you're good at writing, then it's in the discussion. But if you're not, then use the transcriber services. Simply, and it's not that expensive at all. So it's easy for me to do this video, and then I can take it and I can send it to somebody. And then Amazon has a service. I have an online service, a transcription service, where even like for 60 minutes, it's only like $1.50 or $2.44. So it's not a lot of money. You can find people on Fiverr as well. But I find that the businesses are a little bit more dependable than finding an individual. But either way, it's not going to be that much. So, they find out if you decide, okay, I'd rather do it audio, then record something and then send it to the services, have it transcribe it. There is your article. You can always tweak it or add a little call to action link on it at some point, but then it's done. You don't have to think about it again. There's also a lot of other transcribe services where you can look up and pay for. But it's just finding out if you are better at video, if you're better at audio, or again, if you find content someplace that you want to share. then simply send that video or that podcast or that, whatever to your service and have them transcribe it, and then put your information on it and repurpose it from that point on. So your articles, so find out the medium that works for you, whether it's written or live. And then, make sure, again, if you rather do it the other way, work backwards and be able to get it done. Another thing to think about is to transcription services. Then where are you going to do with these articles? What do you do with them and where do you put them consistently? And, there's services, if you're using your social media, there's services like Hootsuite or there's services like Buffer. Both of them have a free version. We use both of them. We're using Buffer more, and we have a paid version of Buffer because they give us more analytics. We're starting to really analyze who, when, where, what reads, and things of that type. But they both have free versions that you can use. And decide what social media, what platform is really going to be the best for you. I still highly recommend LinkedIn because, again, they have the higher demographic as far as income and as far as professionals. And if you want people to spend money, especially on travel, you want them to have some income, and you want them to be able to afford your travel or buying real estate. So whatever it may be. So, find out which one it is and then simply schedule it. That way you don't have to go in every week. You don't have to do it. Schedule it to be, Buffer will take it from anything, and Schedule will actually do, we'll be able to schedule it for you, get your articles. And you can schedule it. We have our schedules like 6 months, some of them. Some of the things that we just do like for quotes or motivational things, we just have a schedule for 6 months that we know we have those fill-ins. And then we can always come in on a daily basis and add different things that may be more current. But we just know that at least something's going to be published every day, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way throughout the weeks going forward. And we repurpose a lot of it. So I'll have one video. I take an example of this video I'm doing today. I'll have it transcribed. I'll look at the keywords, pull out the keywords, add any other keywords I want, and I can share it in my social media today, but I can also share it to next Friday, or the Friday thereafter. I can share, I usually share like 3 or 4 times a month, the same information, because of the fact that not everybody is on the social media at the same time each time. So the bound that someone's going to miss it. And so, and if they wind up going to the same video, my attitude is if they go into the same video more than once, twice, or 3 times, then that means they really want this product. So you've sold them. You've achieved some of those touches that they say you need to have like 3 to 5 to 7 touches before purchase, or before a person purchase. Well, then you've kind of started that process of touching them that many times. Because if I see something 3 or 4 times, I say, okay, well, maybe I really need to look at this further, look at this more careful, so that I can either purchase this product or service or become a member of. So, think about this social media. That's one aspect, from that point on, and really, again, value it. But then you have those articles again to submit to these other platforms, so that when you looked at originally these different communities, these different blogs. So you submit to them, and it doesn't have to be like, I want to submit to your blog forever and ever. You can say, I have a 4-part series. I have a 6-part series. It's like I said, I'm going to do this for 8 weeks. So I'll have an 8-part series of multimedia marketing. So then I'll be able to share that for 8 weeks. And it's a short term, but all you need, and if I'm on someone else's platform and they're sharing it, then that's really valuable, because again, I'm going to get that many touches with their community and their tribe. So again, it could be an online blog, it could be an online magazine, it could be an online newspaper, it could be a community that does travel, and maybe they want content for their newsletters, again, so it doesn't have to be forever, but it's good credibility for you, because now you're able to say that my work has been published, or you're a published author in addition to e-zine articles, but into, again, America's Travel NASC or this or that and so forth. And they're always looking for professionals. They're looking for people that have good content. Do not be intimidated by any of the big companies. They're always looking for content. And that credibility just brings you more, it's important for you to be able to get into other places, other articles and other publications, but also it's great for your clients, because your clients will say, okay, she's not just another travel agent, or she's not just another realtor. She actually has, she's been published, and that's huge. And you see people on their website, also published in this, and this. So, reach out, and it can be a small one, it could be a local one, it could be an international one. Say, for example, you're speaking or you're traveling to areas, or you want to connect with markets outside of your local area. So in other countries. So don't limit your search to only blogs, magazines, or newswires in America. It could be any other country, because they're even more starving for information, because we know America has so much available to them. So we're probably on information overload, but a lot of other countries don't have that kind of access. And most importantly, they always want a different perspective. Like we always want to hear what's happening in France, what's happening in Italy, what's the fashion, what's the food, what's the, the trends there. Well, they want to know what's happening in sunny California. And so you're a published author from sunny California sharing this perspective on, again, what's the travel like or whatever it is. They really want you, they want to publish it. You're a celebrity, you're a superstar. You'll be a superstar faster elsewhere than you are in America because it's less competition. And you're special because you're from someplace, you're someplace far away. So really do not limit your searches to just the locals. Because again, a lot of people, we have so much access, much more access than a lot of other places do. So that's one thing. Another thing is that, taking that information and sharing it there, but then creating your own platform. Again, like, if you have a newsletter that you go out to, that you send out regularly, then being able to include that article for your newsletters, in your newsletters, or creating your own digital magazine. Now, it sounds like a lot of work, but it's not a lot of work to do it once you get it set up. I would recommend hiring someone, and we've hired, there's one person that we had one before that I did myself, but I wouldn't do it again myself. I would just hire someone $40, $65 to set it up, whatever it is, to set it up and have a digital magazine. That separates you a lot because we're bombarded with newsletters all the time. And a lot of people don't read newsletters anymore, but they're more inclined to read a magazine because it's different. And it doesn't have to be a big magazine. We called ours a mag because ours was so short, 12 pages. And then you basically have 4 pages that your outside front cover, your inside front cover, your outside back cover, inside back cover. So those are 4 pages that should be something very visual. So with that gone, you only have like 8 pages that you have to really put some content in. But that's a great way to be able to include, if you decided to do a video first of your communication, and do a video. And then it's a great place to put the transcribed version of it. And if you do your video through Zoom or some of the other places, then you're able to take the audio version of that, and now you have that podcast. So now just in that simple magazine, you can say, we're traveling to this place, or we're traveling by bus, or we're traveling those are not with, I'm just using travel and real estate as a sample, but it could be any industry, across any industry, financial industries, from anything that you do, but just being able to say, now you can do, if you decide to do that video on Zoom of your article, then you have that audio that you can separate real easy to have a video and audio stream. So now you got a podcast, and then you have that transcribed, and now you have the article. And that itself, then you can have on one other page of other places to go, or how to contact the last articles, or you have just different ways of being able to work that can be that simple. Once you get the format set up, then it's just a matter of just copying and pasting everything into the template that you want to use. So once you get a format and a style, then that would be really, really special, because again, that means that it takes you to even another level. And what I've done with those digital magazines is that now you can give those magazines or send that digital magazine to other organizations or other podcasters and say, hey, I spoke with you on your podcast, or I talked to you about your blog, you featured me on your blog, or we did this video together, or we did this interview together, or this question together. I would like to provide for you a digital magazine totally for free for all your subscribers. Totally for free for all your new members, totally for free for anyone that comes to your website, as an opt-in. So it's here all of a sudden now you're able to get in front because you've interviewed them, you've covered their stories, you've covered their podcasts, you've shared their information. Now you're able to offer them and their community something for free. And that is a very, very powerful tool to be able to utilize that. And it can happen with anything, but the magazine is really, again, another powerful tool. The reason why I like the magazine so much is because of the fact, one, it's 24/7. You can access it anytime, anywhere in the world. So no matter what time zone you're in, you can go in and access the magazine. It's evergreen, which means you're not going to throw it away until someone unsubscribes or until you take it off the website. It will be there forever, never, never. So even if you were in the front cover of Fortune magazine, a printed version, that printed version is not going to stay on your coffee table forever. You know, either something wind up in storage or something like that, so it stays there evergreen forever. Another thing is that it's you can create a call to action in it. So that's even better than, to me, better than the Super Bowl. You can pay millions of dollars for a Super Bowl ad, but there's no call to action. They can't get any information. Your call to action can be click here to subscribe, click here for a free this, click here for, you know, complimentary this, click here for a free estimate, free consultation, click here for a free sample, whatever it is, they can actually click right then and there and put their first name, last name, email address, phone number, whatever information you ask. And if it's something to purchase, they can actually click there and purchase it. And that most of the time the credit cards are already on file somewhere, so they don't even have to move. So they're actually able to purchase that information. So for being able to get sales that you're trying to sell, or reservations, or, you know, things of that type, is perfect for that, because they're actually able to do it without moving and get it done. You have a sale transaction. It could be something even as simple as $1 or $2 or $5. It doesn't matter. But that's the way that people actually purchase. Or if it's something that they can actually opt into, a free this, a free, it doesn't have to be even your free thing that you're giving. Say, for example, you are with a travel agent and you talk about different credits that you get, or maybe different gifts that you get, a travel pack or whatever. Somebody else can offer that. You can say, click here for your free this, and they can do it. So that person that's gifting it, they get a copy of that information, but you also get a copy of those subscribers. So you're able to really build your list, build your community, and it doesn't have to, again, to be yours. I really want to make sure everybody realizes that everything does not have to be you and yours. Collaborate. Really think about collaborating. Really think about partnering. That is the fastest, easiest, and the best way to scale, because there's always someone that's more knowledgeable in your industry than you are. So part of they're always looking for opportunities. Say, hey, you have a magazine, even if it's only go to 500 people or 5,000 people or 50,000 people, still more people than that person, more people that person wants to get in front of. So they will definitely donate a book. They will donate another subscription. They will donate whatever the case may be. So reach out, think about what could be your affiliate. All right, we talked about affiliate marketing, that when someone buys something that you are compensated either by a flat fee or a percentage. It could be your affiliate. That's what I put on my back cover. That's what I put on my inside front cover, and my inside back cover was my affiliates. So when they click there to opt in or get this, whatever that they went through the purchase, then I was able to be compensated for it. So, you know, you can strategically place something like that in your magazine, like, hey, you know, if you're into this and this is what's offered, that could be your affiliate link that you actually are creating revenue from. So, you know, so there's so many different ways that you're able to utilize that digital magazine, and it doesn't have to be a big deal. That's one thing. Or create your own little newspaper or reports. You know, again, reports sometimes it has a different connotation than a newsletter. And you can do that in Canva. You go to Canva, canva.com, and they have free, I think, magazines or reports that you can do, or free small things that you can do. And I would not recommend doing that either more than once a month. And I would recommend doing the majority of it, having a lot more, that's a consistent template, like your affiliates or your sponsors or whatever it is, and then have only part of it change. So it's not not a big project for you. But those are things that you can do actually 2 or 3 months in advance, and then have it distributed, and then have it people to share. So with those reasons, again, having it evergreen, having it available 24/7, having it call to action. I think there was one other thing. Worldwide. You know, again, no matter what you had right now, it's possible to be able to reach every corner of the world. It's worldwide. Maybe later can be just transcribed, and if you wanted to, you can actually start charging for that. You can charge. They allow you, most of the platforms allow you to have it as a subscription. So if you decided to say, I'm going to charge for this, I'm going to charge even $3.99 a month or whatever, if it has that value to it, if you've got that multimedia in it and got some real value to it, you can charge it. So it's another income generating activity for you. Or the same thing with the report or anything that you do. If it's really valuable, you can actually start charging. People, again, don't mind. If it's information, that's what I'm really stressing, it's not all from you. If you're bringing in experts, if you're bringing other people, And it is co-partnering with different people, because they may see you and they say, I already know her, I've seen her, I followed her, I've traced him for years. So I've heard all that they have to say, but they haven't heard these other experts. They haven't heard an insurance company that covers travel insurance. They don't, I mean, there's a lot of, I guess, backlash now for people that made all these arrangements and can't get their refunds, can't get their flight fares refunded and things of that type. There's also legal, attorneys that handle like what your legal rights was. There's, again, the cruise directors themselves, or the travel experts, the travel agencies, how it's impacted their business. I mean, bring in all these other people. Now you have some real value that people are like, I'll pay, even if it's only $1, a issue, that's $10 for the whole year. Okay, $10 doesn't sound like a lot, but again, if you're growing and $10 is a no-brainer for someone to pay for something. Let's put it that way. They're not going to think hard about it if they can get one value out, even one issue or two issues. So that's one mindset. They're not going to evaluate their budget for $10. That's 2 coffees and Starbucks and you're done. So that's a no-brainer. But it grows, if you partner with these other people and you showcase them and they share it with their industry, then now you've got thousands of people that you would have never contacted before. And now that 10,000, again, $10 times 100 that's easy math. 10 times 100 is 1,000. So all you need is $110 for 1,000. You get 500, that's 5,000. And that's, if you get, more and more and more, the numbers add up. And it's something you're going to do anyway, something you're thinking about doing anyway. Some people are giving out newsletters every month anyway. So again, now it's just putting more value into it so that people will find the ability to pay, will want to pay for it. There's one gentleman that does a podcast, and he only charges $9.99 a month, $10 a month. And his podcasts are usually free, but he charges for them. But I think he said, someone told me, one of his inside people told me he had 700,000 subscribers. So let's say that's $10 a month, 700 times 10. That's his monthly. And the person that was working with him actually was building out a whole new studio and a whole new facility, and he bought a building. I said, how can he afford to do that? And I said, and that's when he gave me the numbers. He said, he got 700 people paying him $10 a month. That's how I can afford to do that. So don't, if you're doing something organically that you enjoy, that you love, and you're doing it consistently, then you're not as focused on the numbers, and it will grow. And again, if you're definitely bringing in other people, other webinars, you have been attending webinars, you have been going to webinars. Why not after a webinar say, hey, that was a great webinar. Is it okay if you don't plan to transcribe it, can I transcribe it and share it with my community? I think they find it interesting. There's a talk on Thursday today with an email that I got from Travel Noor, actually. And the young lady is, she's 32 years old, and she made, I forget, she has 150 something thousand dollars a month in passive income from her real estate investments. And she's sharing how she started, things like that. I'm always interested to see how people start, even though I know real estate and so forth. So I send an email saying it's okay for me to share this with my community. So one, I get a connection with her. She says yes. So now I have that connection, because she obviously has done a lot of marketing, and people are, she has a tribe. So the next thing is she says, yes, I'll take that information, and I may invite her to speak. Say, I love what you said. It was great information. I enjoyed it. And would you have a few minutes to do a Zoom interview with me? They're not going to say no. I mean, people, it's a matter of availability, but they're not going to say no, because they want to promote themselves even more. People that are already promoting themselves want to continue promoting themselves, and free advertising is always a benefit to them. And especially if it's short, you don't want it to be hours, 15 minutes, recap, with some of that point, and you can actually just point the points, but that gives me content, and it gives me valuable content. It's not all about me. It's not even about what I do, but it's about information that I know people would like to know, how they can build that kind of portfolio in a short period of time, I don't remember, a short period of time, and have that kind of passive revenue for themselves. And especially people that are the younger ones, if they start off that way, then it would be a great, they have a fake future ahead of them. So it's about taking that content, the first content being your written word, and again, being able to approach it, decide, who you're going to target to, who you're going to target, what you're going to use, what content. Are you going to use a magazine? Are you going to use a report? Are you going to use a blog? Are you going to use a vlog? A vlog is when they refer to a video blog. What are you going to, what platform are you going to use? When are you going to do it? Are you going to do it weekly, monthly? Again, weekly is a lot. That's all you do, then it's great, but monthly is more than appropriate. And you can also, in that monthly, you can have what's ever happening that month, so you can consolidate your emails. So it's who, what, when, where, where you can get the content from, but also where you're going to distribute it. What other distribution channels do you have to share your information besides just your email list? And then how you're going to do it in whatever way you're going to use. But always, everything you're sharing at the end, always have a call to action. That's the most important thing, is to have a call to action. So many people I see sharing information out there, and they have no way of being able to recap or be able to acquire the people that are viewing it, that are enjoying it, that are sharing it. They have no idea. So always have a call to action where it's like, click here to, again, get something for free. Click here to be the first to know. Click here to get any specials, any deals. Click here to be interviewed. Click here to, whatever it is, just have them click here, get their information, build your list. Because at the end of the day, that's your value that you have, not what you have on social media or anywhere else out there, because you don't have control over that. But you do have control of your email list. So with that said, you have to have a CRM system, a contact relationship management system. There's some free ones out there, from MailChimp to, there's some low price ones. MailChimp, there's another one. I always forget MailChimp, and there's another one, but there's quite a few of them. They're from the ones from Entrepreneur. There's also Kajabi. There's also Infusionsoft. And Infusionsoft is if you really, really have a big community. I would not recommend that otherwise, but there's so many different platforms. Have that set up. Otherwise, you're sending out things for the sake of nothing. And then also make sure you incorporate on that the letting people say, feel free to share. Because to me, it's always surprising. I know if I have something, I just automatically share it if I want to share it, but you can tell people to share, and maybe have the links so they can share with their social media outlets. You'll see people that have that, that ability. Because for me, it's real easy for me to share American Express and to share Entrepreneur, because right on the top of the page, they say share this. And I can just click my Facebook, click my LinkedIn, 1, 2, 3, boom, it's shared. So make it easy for them to share. That's how you can grow. You can just continue to grow, and reach people, especially when you're using different other people's platforms or information. And don't forget to have your keywords and everything that you put out there. So search for your keywords, and don't forget to name drop. So again, if you're utilizing someone's article, this is from Jane Doe, who is the Vogue reporter in Brussels, and also featured on Bloomberg and this and this and this, this and this. Because people, when they see that, like, oh, wow, they don't know whether you collaborate with them. They don't know whether it's even you. People skim a lot. So just being able to be able to share those credentials gives you more credentials. And then again, reach out to that person, and that could be the next person that you interview. And these are your people that you say, you're sharing, tit for tat. You sharing their information with your community that they would love to be able to talk to or feature you possibly, again, going forward. So it's about those things to keep in mind. If you do those things, you should be able to, and do it consistently. Because as we know, as marketers, it's having content that you share consistently that builds your community. And that community is who you'll be able to market to be able to build your bank account. So, keep these few things in mind. I'm going to stop recording, and then I'll be able to answer questions. Okay. I'm recording.
I love those masterminds. It's, I wasn't completely listening because I excused myself, but just by listening 5 minutes, I wrote down what I totally forgot about the name dropping. So I love those calls because every time I get a few nuggets out of it, and I would encourage everybody to whether be live, because you have always great input, or listen to the recording. So I have been in business for over 10 years, and I always learn something new. Thank you, Desiree, for being there and keeping us on track weekly.
Weekly, yes. It should be daily. I should up it to daily, huh?
I could use it. All right, so now you can stop recording. works for Berkshire Hathaway, and and there was big news about Warren Buffett yesterday, right? So that
Right.
is perfect. I will, when I type up my my headliners or my description, I will use that. What Warren Buffett and my Zoom call have in common.
Perfect. And see, that's a great name dropping. And so people, and you can, I mean, the thing is that if you're wondering how powerful those names are, Google that person's name. If you're someone in your industry, the author, whatever, Google that person's name and you'll see, oh my gosh, they got so much information. Why would you not want to be attached to that some way, shape, or form? And as long as you're authentic, as long as it's authentic and you don't change their words or change their information, but you can always add to, you can always share your experiences, your statistics, or you can just, use it verbatim. But you have so much content that, now let's go to all these webinars and all these things, the same thing, get them transcribed. And if it's like an hour, it's only a couple of dollars. Get them transcribed. Now you've got either books that you can use, like that's why I'm doing this consistently now in the order of the Power of 7, because now I can take this and transcribe it and create a, even if it's a free, even if I just say this is a free intro to Power of 7, people will get enough value. I can distribute it one article at a time or one phase at a time, or use it as an opt-in to find out this, and this. And then we'll be able to do it. Because all these different things that we were talking about, you can make $100,000 or more at. If you just, some people just wanted to do the ebook or want to do the subscription, they can do that. And the same thing about the, I forgot to mention about the ebooks. You can go to Amazon and you can do an ebook very, very, very fast and reasonable. It's a Kindle Direct Publishing is called. And literally, if you had a weekend, if you said, okay, this week I'm gonna write a book, then between now and Sunday, you'll be able to get it done and get it published and get it again, because it could be a combination of other people's stories. It could be a combination of information that you found out. It could be I've checked out this, and this, and I find out that this is what's happening. You can be able to be a collaboration of, I interviewed, 5 people about what things are gonna be like after the pandemic. And this is what they had to say. Do 5 interviews with people, like people in real estate, could be real estate brokers, real estate, whatever it is. And then that could be a book. It could be a short book. A book doesn't have to be 102 something pages. Make it short and sweet, but it's a book. And then we can be published authors.
When they do the transcribing, are they correcting for it? Because if I talk like on a Zoom call and I say, okay, so the home sales prices are they're up. Are they going to transcribe?
I don't know. I would check a couple of sources. I would check a couple of sources to see how, I would check like 1 or 2 and see how they recognize sometimes it's accents. Some of the transcribed services are very sophisticated where you can put accents into it. So they will recognize the local, colloquialism, what's it called? The local.
Yeah.
Slang. Local accent.
No, not slang.
Slang. I was trying to find another word than slang. They will do that. But yeah, so to be able to do that. So there's so much, getting a book, to me, a book has never been that big of a deal, because I know a lot of people don't read the books when they come published author, but it's still a published author, And so I did one years ago and I should probably just redo it, because I found it, I cleaned up my garage and I found it in my garage, one Christmas holiday for Empowered Women we first started. And it was like the 25 thoughts of empowered women. So I simply talked to different women and said, what's your most empowering thought? And I had this booklet of 25 thoughts of empowering women. So I could do the same thing for 30-day, thoughts of an empowered woman. And I could just interview 30 empowered women, take that information, put it in the book, and that's done. So I mean, it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be all from your head. It could be, your best this, your best that, your fastest this, your fastest that. It's just information people want to know, and you can actually share it really easily. So Maya, what thoughts have you come to? What's your action points? What have you thought about that you're going to take action on between now and next time?
You know what? First of all, I want to thank you, because you do care about all of us to succeed and all the ones that they finish the mastermind, because you do all this for free, and that means that you do care. It's not about money with you. It's more about caring about us. And that means the world to me personally. I learned, like, you reminded me of a lot of things, And you know what? It's so interesting because today I had like 4 Zoom with the travel and then you, and I chose you over them. Why? Because they are all talking about the same thing, Corona, Corona, Corona. I'm sick and tired of Corona. I knew that I will pick up more knowledge and wisdom from you than them. And I was right, because you reminded me of a lot of things that in between the crack, I forgot about them. And you helped me always to focus, because so many distractions, and you are so good with that. You help people. You're a great tutor. Tutor, yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
like
So,
personal, yeah. Yeah, you're very good in that.
with that said, though, what are you going to focus on this week?
Okay, so that's why this week I'm going to focus on the search that you told me about, to Google about Dine and Wine, the Bible Land, to call the wineries, to check, to ask them several questions, to make more homework about my project so I can take it in the right direction, and to focus on my audience. Who is my customers? Who is the one that I need to focus on? So I need to do that. So that.
Okay. Have you priced out that program? Could that be a real?
Oh yeah, I already have. Yeah, I already have the prices, because I'm doing it for 4 years, and I with it. So the first year it was good, but it was not perfect. So I perfected it through the year. And now this year I feel so comfortable with it. I am, and I build in the commission. The profit is already built in. And it's perfect, because it's win-win situation. It's the best price for them, the best price for me, and we both are happy, because the same tour, another company is double the price. But I'm from there and I have connections, so I can also sell it to other travel agents. And that's so beautiful, because I feel
Fantastic.
like it's a question for all of us. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. So awesome. And so another thing too is that, so look at what you're doing again, Maya, and just try to narrow it down. For the rest of this year, try to increase your bandwidth by decreasing your projects. So maybe 1 or 2 or 3, because you could be known as that person. There's enough people in the world that would want to do that, or even vice versa, people from there coming here, whatever the case may be, that you can just market that, and that financially is appealing to you, that you can really just work with that. Just less is more. Just keep thinking less is more, less is more.
Yeah.
That way you're able to give the projects the time,
I asked you 2 questions in the chat.
And so let me get, what are the 2 questions?
Yeah, how we can find what people ask. You said Google. What do you mean by Google?
So as far as Google, go to Google and say, for example, let's see if I can share my screen easily.
While you were talking, I just put it.
Right, so Google, so just if I was to share, let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so it's, if I go to Google and say, how many wineries, or you said over 400, I know you know that, but just, you can Google the question, like how many.
It's not typing.
I was doing some research earlier to see how much it costs. Let's see. How many people, even from America, I'm just using an example, whatever is going to be appropriate for you, travel to Israel a year? And you can always narrow that down to how many people from Los Angeles travel to, Israel. So how many American tourists visit Israel each year? More tourists than ever visited in 2017. An estimated 3.6 million tourists visit the country in sandy beaches and solely sites. So that's huge in 2017. And so you can also says it. So the people also ask how many American tourists visit each year, but also how many tourists visited in 2019.
Oh, okay.
How many
Now I got you.
tourists killed
Okay,
in Israel? Now that may be an interesting thing because sometimes people may think they may not want to travel there because they're fearful that they may be killed or be held hostage.
Yeah.
Can I travel from Israel? So this is what I mean. People always ask. So, and then once you open that up, and especially if you decide to share this from Wikipedia, because now you're name dropping Wikipedia. So tourism on Israel. So you want to name drop, you know, the bigger thing like the U.S. Embassy, government. That's a reputable source. Travel Agent Central, that may be a reputable source. And it says this tourism is up 12% in December. So I mean, these are this is how this will give you a lot of the information that you can just use and keep playing. Israel's welcoming record numbers of tourists, and it's, you know, so
Okay,
things
got
like
it.
that. And these
I got
are,
it.
you got it. So that's the articles. That's what you
Yeah.
do. So just
Now the
starting
other
and playing around.
question,
And you can
yeah,
also take, but also hold on one second. So you're in Los Angeles, right? So that's it, or California. So do the same thing from California.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I got the point. I didn't understand
Okay,
what you
got
meant.
it. Okay, got
Okay,
it.
what program do you use for the e-magazine? Because I know that you had the magazine about the women.
Right,
It
right.
was
I'll show
amazing.
you.
I always loved it. It was my favorite. I still actually have it as, I still have it in my saving, like,
Okay, yes. So I have Joe Mag, which I can put in, I have Joe Mag, Joomag. I'm trying, Joomag. And then there's also Issue, ISS, I think it's UUISS. I'm trying to get this
you,
back to my big screen. Yeah, something closer to that. If you put it in, you will be able to get it.
okay.
Sharing is paused. Okay, I gotta stop sharing. Okay. All right, so that's what we start. So now, Terry, what are you gonna start with? What's your project this week?
My project has been really because I've been all over the place. I tiptoe back and forth between real estate because we're working on a rehab house and we're almost finished with it. We should be finished by the end of May. And so I've been going to a lot of webinars about real estate and thinking about that. But my business is still travel. I went to a conference, a webinar last weekend, and so I'm still interested in the travel. But what I know the most about is still teaching. So I think I'm going to take the idea that we talked about a month ago, because my challenge is technology. It took me so long to get to the point of seeing a picture and seeing myself and having audio in order to do that. So I'm going to do a homeschool webinar with my friends that are teachers, because they're my very close friends. And that's going to give me practice, because of my eventual goal is to be an affiliate marketer through travel. But I don't want to approach that until I get the technology to be able to do a webinar with an interview and to share my screen and put it all together. So my goal now is, I've figured out how to do the Zoom and get it up, but I haven't figured out how to do the share screen. So my husband and I have been practicing to be able to get that happening. And then I'm going to do the interviews with my friends that are teachers and put together a home setting of what you do to help your child at home to continue to learn with the pandemic.
Okay, so that sounds like a very valuable, you know, plan and project, and make sure you document it. There's also people now, and I would go to Fiverr or just Google people that are acting as moderators for Zoom, because now that Zoom has become so popular, a lot of people, like, there's a young lady that we were going to use, but now she's Zoomed out. So that to be act as our moderator, act as our co-host. You know, so they're the co-hosts. They're the ones that make sure that it's recorded. They're the ones that make sure that you're their chat. So there's questions, a lot of people's questions, and they can be reading off the questions for you. They just act as that person. They set it up for you. They'll do this screen set for you. So think about that rather than waiting too long. I would just Google, like in Fiverr, you know, I need a Zoom expert or a Zoom moderator or a Zoom co-host, whatever the case may be. And then tell them what you have planned and then do a practice with them. And it should be, you know, again, if it's $5, you know, an hour, whatever it is, it's still minimal. And that will get you started until you become more familiar with it. Because even if you are familiar with it, like I'm familiar with it, but when I do my events on Friday with the Let's Talk Success, I want to be totally focused on that group.
It's
So
$20. I have one co-host that helped me, and it's $20 an hour.
is it 20? So that's still worth it. Then that's worth it. $20 a day. Well, you just depend on them. They do it. You can relax and do your presentation. And then they could. She sent me the chat notes afterwards. So you know, it was more seamless. And then if you want to share your Maya, if you want to share your person, then we'd be glad to.
Yeah, I can check with them if they can take more people, because it's really awesome. It takes all the stress from you and you focus on what you are good with.
Exactly.
Because I also teach travel. I used to teach in the university, colleges, everything. And now I do it, but it was like stressful because I need to answer the questions. And so he helped me a lot. So
Great.
20 hours an hour. And sometimes if he does longer, so it just